Part 36. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 353. Although it was late at night when the battle was completed, everything was still going on in an orderly manner. Kauki Shinano and others controlled their carrier-based aircraft to hover near the battlefield to prevent a new Siren fleet from appearing, while the others were led by Bismarck and Veneto respectively to conduct final cleaning of the battlefield. The content of this part is naturally to investigate the material drops of the Siren fleet just now, as well as the remaining enemies. If there were mass-produced Siren battleships that had not been destroyed in that war just now, then this point in time would be the time to hit them. Eliminating all the effective forces of the Siren fleet is Qin Ji's duty as a commander. Because there were aircraft carrier girls escorting them, everyone in the fleet was very relieved when cleaning the battlefield. The battlefield at sea was cleared in a short time. Along with the still burning wreckage of the Siren fleet, a group of ship girls got into formation and rushed to the direction of each command ship. Qin Ji's ship girl was no exception. When Guanghui and others boarded the ship, Qin Ji was still watching the radar. Although Veneto had explained the battlefield situation to him through the communicator before, this section of clearing the battlefield he still couldn't worry about time. "Welcome back," Qin Ji said to his ship girls. "It was a beautiful annihilation battle just now. Both Veneto and Bismarck commanded it very well, and everyone fought bravely." The ship girls all smiled, they were very happy and relaxed. After all, winning the battle and being encouraged by his commander are the things that make him happiest. "By the way, Commander, the battle just came in a hurry, so I forgot to tell you something," Guanghui said to Qin Ji. "What's going on?" Qin Ji asked doubtfully. "It's like this. During the Siren Tide, any battle that defeats a medium-sized Siren fleet or above must submit a written report to the Maritime Safety Administration. Introduce the situation of the enemy and our side when the battle occurred, as well as the sea area where the battle occurred, the course of the battle and the battle loss ratio. At that time, the Maritime Safety Administration will give corresponding rewards to the large fleet based on the authenticity of the written report. Sometimes, points, special redemption points, combat redemption vouchers, etc. may be awarded." Guanghui said to Qin Ji. "I see." Qin Ji nodded. "Then leave this matter to me, but according to the way we are proceeding, it seems that the Maritime Safety Administration will not be able to go. When the time comes, this report will be handed over directly to Ningai. Roughly the same. It should be possible. After all, Ninghai is responsible for the task handover between the Commander Academy and the Maritime Safety Administration. Coupled with your relationship with Director Kang Long, I believe everything will go very smoothly," Guanghui said with a smile. Qin Ji smiled and said, "Okay, now that the battle is over, you can just enter the normal alert plan. Next, we will reform and go back to school to hand over the mission." "Yes, Commander," all the ship girls nodded to Qin Ji. Following the ship's wife's agreement, Qin Ji turned around and walked to the communicator, and also informed other members of the fleet of the news. Although other members of the Grand Fleet were still enjoying the joy of victory in the first Grand Fleet battle at this moment, the moment they received Qin Ji's message, they all showed their awareness of complying and executing it. Not long after, the entire command fleet had reorganized and sailed toward the college. Although the sounds of fighting could still be heard vaguely in the distance along the way, they were already very far away from where Qin Ji and others were. There was no situation like before. When it reached midnight, everyone returned to the academy port safely. Although a lot of time has passed since the battle just now, when Qin Ji gathered the other members, he could see the excitement and joy on their faces. "You all performed very well for our attack on the first day. Not only did you successfully complete the mission of the Grand Fleet, but also in the subsequent encounters, you were able to remember my instructions as you usually trained, without any glitches." Confused. This allowed us to cooperate in an orderly manner and successfully defeat a medium-sized Siren fleet. This also gave us confidence, determination, and ability to face any Siren fleet we encounter in the future. So next, since it has already entered late at night, we will not continue to pick up the task. Everyone will go to their rooms to rest earlier. We will gather in front of the warehouse at the same time tomorrow morning. Everyone is dismissed on the spot, except the deputy commander. Qin Ji said to everyone. Yes, along with the joy of the previous victory, even though it was relatively late now, everyone's answer was still sonorous and powerful. After answering, they each took their own ship girls, nodded to Qin Ji, and either returned to their rooms in the academy, or reboarded the ship and headed to the resting place at the Maritime Safety Bureau. After a while, the crowd gradually dispersed, and Qin Ji's ship girl, Hao, Counterattack, and Li Chenming were left on the entire dock. Qin Ji, why did you ask me to stay? Li Chenming asked with some confusion. Qin Ji smiled and said, you, the deputy commander, say you are the deputy commander, but you are usually the same as other team members, so I have to find some work for you. It just so happened that we completed the mission of the large fleet this time, and also obtained a lot of trophies in previous encounters. So I leave all of this to you, and it's time for you to officially take over the task of providing logistics and material supply for our fleet. Ah! Is it so sudden? Li Chen was obviously in disbelief. He thought that before he would accept this task, he would at least have to wait until after graduation and the fleet was officially on track. But he didn't expect Qin Ji to say such things to him now and arrange for him to do such things. This is not sudden. Everything in our team is on track now, so there is no problem in starting to formalize it. What's more, you have advantages in interpersonal communication and logistics material handling, so I believe you will be able to do this quickly. Position. Or do you have no confidence in your own abilities? Qin Ji said to Li Chenming, with a playful smile in his eyes. No, of course I know my abilities very well, but I'm just a little surprised. But since the commander believes in me so much, then I will never betray your trust. Leave this matter to me, and I will definitely take care of it. Dun, Li Chenming said seriously. Li Chenming always calls Qin Ji by his first name in private, but only in some formal matters, he will call him commander seriously. Therefore, this also shows that Li Chenming is serious about this matter. Then, Belfast, hand over the supplies we collected in previous battles to the deputy commander, Qin Ji ordered with a smile. Yes, master. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Mu Ji. Chapter 354. Although it was already past 2 o'clock in the morning, the lights in Qin Ji's room had not dimmed. He was still lying on his desk writing furiously. Suddenly, the door was opened, and Belfast walked into the room with a cup of hot tea. She glanced at Qin Ji, who was still writing at his desk, and shook her head. Closing the door gently, Belfast walked to Qin Ji's table and placed the hot tea in his hand. Ah, it's you, Belfast, why aren't you sleeping yet? Didn't I say before that you don't need to serve me tonight? Let you go to bed early. After all, we have tasks tomorrow. Qin Ji looked up and saw Belfast. He was a little confused and said reproachfully. As the master, you haven't rested. How can I, as the maid, rest? Belfast smiled. You take everything too seriously. Don't worry, I won't stay up late tonight. I just finish writing this combat report and then I will rest, Qin Ji said with a smile, and he pointed at what he was writing in front of him. The combat report, this is what Guanghui said before. After submitting it to the Maritime Safety Administration, you will receive some reward materials. Now is the time for the Star Sea Fleet to develop, so some materials are particularly important for the development of the fleet. Adhering to this concept, Qin Ji naturally would not throw away this opportunity in vain. For him, it was just a night's rest. For the Star Sea Fleet, it might be combat readiness materials that could arm 1 or 2 ship girls. Then I wonder how much Master has written? How long will it take to finish? Belfast came to Chin-Ji's side and looked at the things on his table. We came back after 12 o'clock and had dinner. We have been writing from about 1 o'clock until now. Most of it has been completed. The rest should be finished before 3 o'clock, Chin-Ji said to Belfast replied. Because Belfast was a little close to Chin-Ji at the moment, Chin-Ji also smelled a faint fragrance from Belfast. So when Chin-Ji finished speaking to Belfast, he couldn't help but touch his nose. Can you finish writing before 3 o'clock? Belfast nodded slightly, then smiled and said to Chin-Ji, then Master, continue writing, and I will stay here with you. Isn't this necessary? It's already so late. You also experienced a battle today. You should rest early, Chin-Ji said to Belfast. It's not too late. It's very normal for us ship girls not to rest for days and nights, so Master doesn't have to worry about me. Belfast smiled, and instead of having this time to say these things to me, why not take advantage of this time to write a little quickly, so that after you finish writing early, can't I also take a rest early? Chin-Ji couldn't help but startled, and then laughed. Okay, then I will finish writing these sincerely, but if you feel tired, just sit on the bed instead of standing next to me all the time. As ordered, Belfast replied with a gentle smile, but only she knew whether she would sit on the bed as Chin-Ji said instead of standing behind Chin-Ji. Seeing that Belfast had already answered, Chin-Ji said nothing again. He just shook his head and smiled, then refocused on the documents in front of him. The sound of the pen tip rubbing against paper sounded again. Although there were 2 people in the room at the moment, the sound was heard very clearly at this time. Sure enough, as Chin-Ji said, less than 20 minutes passed before he stopped writing again, picked up the teacup at hand, took a sip, and then checked the report he had written. Master, have you finished writing? At this time, Belfast, standing behind Chin-Ji, asked with a smile. Yes, it has been written. But I have to check it again to prevent some minor mistakes. Chin-Ji did not raise his head. He kept staring at the combat report in front of him. After checking it again and finding that there was no problem, Chin-Ji breathed a sigh of relief and said, well, it's over now. Then Master, please rest quickly. While there is still some time now, I will come and call you on time at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, Belfast said to Chin-Ji. Well, it's true. I've been in a high-stress state all day today, and I really feel a little tired now. Chin-Ji stood up as he spoke. After talking about the battle report in front of him, his eyes fell on the desk. On the bottle. There is a rose in the vase, but it is a little wilted now. Well, I didn't even notice that the roses were withered. It's really. Chin-Ji looked at the bottle and said. This is a rose that Miss Aurora should have given to the owner, right? Belfast said, looking at the withered rose. Yes, when I went to the rose garden with Chung-Ching before, she picked it with her own hands. Although it was very bright a few days ago, the flowers will wither quickly as soon as they are left behind, Chin-Ji said. It doesn't matter. I'll go find Miss Ola tomorrow and help the owner put another one on, Belfast said with a smile. That's not what I meant. In fact, as long as the roses grow in the garden, it doesn't matter whether I put them here or not. Chin-Ji quickly waved his hand. I understand, Master. Belfast smiled slightly, then now let me help you take off your clothes and wash up. Chin-Ji nodded, okay, please, Belfast. It's okay, Belfast smiled. Immediately, she walked to Chin-Ji and took off Chin-Ji's coat and clothes very gently. Chin-Ji looked at the scene and was suddenly moved. He reached out and took Belfast's hand, put it to his lips, and kissed it gently. It's good to have you here. It is Belfast's greatest honor to be praised by the Master, Belfast said, looking at Chin-Ji, who showed some true feelings, and felt very sweet in his heart. Although he usually likes to see his master in embarrassment, What Belfast really wants to see is Chin-Ji's tenderness towards him. After all, in Chin-Ji's entire fleet, there are many ship girls who have a good impression of Chin-Ji, but there are relatively few people who actually respond to Chin-Ji. Now faced with such feelings, Belfast is naturally very happy. In a gentle voice, Belfast served Chin-Ji, took off his clothes, and then finished washing. After watching Chin-Ji lying on the bed and falling asleep, she left Chin-Ji's room with a smile. Walking down the dimly lit aisle, even though the surroundings were silent, Belfast felt particularly happy. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Hwangming Muji. Chapter 355. Although he went to bed late at night, Chin-Ji still woke up at the same time as before the next morning. Perhaps Belfast had already anticipated the situation, so the time she entered Chin-Ji's room the next day was the same as before. When he saw Chin-Ji looking at him with apologetic eyes, Belfast felt both angry and funny. What makes me angry is that even though I had worked hard all day yesterday and went to bed so late at night, I still woke up at this time, not caring about my body at all. What's funny is that his commander is still the same strict and self-disciplined commander. No matter fatigue or other circumstances, he can't be defeated. But he would always show that awkward smile after being discovered. Facing Chin-Ji like this, he didn't say anything. Instead, he arranged his clothes carefully as always. After everything was sorted, he went out with him and ate with everyone. At 8 o'clock in the morning, everyone arrived at the meeting point at the entrance of the warehouse on time. The rest of the fleet had also arrived on time, so Chin-Ji simply said hello to everyone and then entered the warehouse with everyone. Good morning, Ning-Hai. Chin-Ji greeted Ning-Hai at the counter. Good morning, Commander Chin-Ji. I wonder if the mission went well yesterday, Ning-Hai said with a smile. Well, everything went very smoothly, and when we came back, we encountered a medium-sized siren fleet and won the battle, Chin-Ji said to Ning-Hai. Oh? Were there any encounters on the way back? Ning-Hai asked in surprise. So what was the battle damage like? Were any ship girls or commanders injured? When exactly did the battle occur and where did it occur? Chin-Ji turned to look at Belfast. At this time, Belfast took out the combat report Chin-Ji had written last night from her ship's installation space and handed it to him. After Chin-Ji took it, he handed it to Ning-Hai in front of him. I have written the time and place of the battle, as well as the exchange of fire, battle damage ratio, and other data in this battle report. Can you please Ning-Hai and forward it to the Maritime Safety Administration on your behalf, Chin-Ji said to Ning-Hai. Ning-Hai took the combat report from Chin-Ji, glanced at it briefly and said in surprise, what a neat combat report. Does Commander Chin-Ji know that he needs to make a combat report after encountering the Siren fleet at sea? Chin-Ji said with a smile, these are all glorious achievements. It was because of her reminder that I wrote this combat report after the battle. I heard that after submitting this combat report to the Maritime Safety Administration for verification, additional points for the Grand Fleet will be added and combat supplies for the Grand Fleet will be obtained. Ning-Hai glanced at Gui Hui and said with a smile, yes, the Maritime Safety Administration does have this regulation. This is also to give each large fleet more motivation to destroy the Siren fleet. This document is here with me, and I will hand it over to the Maritime Safety Administration when the time comes. By the way, after you completed the task yesterday, where was the task received? Here Chin-Ji said as he took it out of his pocket. Then, are the rewards for our missions distributed directly by you, Ning-Hai? Yes, although I don't know what you are doing now, everything about you, whether it is the Maritime Safety Administration, the Commander Academy, or even the General Headquarters, is all green. I have never seen such a situation before, but since the higher UPS think this is the case, I dare not ask more questions. But I believe that what you do must be beneficial to Dong Huang, so if you have any questions in the future, just come to me at any time. Ning Hai smiled. Thank you so much. Ning Hai Qin Ji smiled and didn't say much. Because if Ning Hai could know, then the Prince of Wales and the others would not hide it from her. And now that Ning Hai has not been notified, it means that she cannot know these things yet, so as the person involved, he cannot say anything. Ning Hai took the task receipt form from Qin Ji, and after taking a look at it, he confirmed it. He took out 2 cards from the drawer next to his counter and handed them to Qin Ji. After Qin Ji took the card, before he could read what was written on the card, Ning Hai explained to Qin Ji. One of these 2 cards is the points of the Grand Fleet. Because you are now a level 1 Grand Fleet, you can upgrade to a level 2 Grand Fleet only after you accumulate enough points. Commander Qin Ji is the commander of the Grand Fleet. He must know that between the first level and second level fleets, it is not only the issue of increasing the number of formal members, but also the issue of increasing material supplies. So every time you complete a Grand Fleet mission, corresponding Grand Fleet points will be added to this card. The other one is the supply card of the Grand Fleet. This supply card contains several contents, including project records of oil, supplies, combat supply vouchers, special exchange vouchers, etc. Using the supply card of this large fleet, supplies can be picked up at any maritime bureau at any location. This is also to facilitate the combat needs of each large fleet, as well as different cross-regional combat supplies. Qin Ji held the card in his hand and kept nodding towards Ning Hai, his heart filled with excitement. After all, from the moment you get these 2 cards, it means that the material supplies for the members of the future fleet are guaranteed, and then you can do your best to improve the strength of the fleet. Afterwards, Ning Hai walked into the warehouse, took out several blue box-like things, and placed them in front of Qin Ji. What is this? Qin Ji asked doubtfully. Emergency repair toolkit. Ning Hai said to Qin Ji, when fighting at sea, the ship girl may be damaged to varying degrees. Generally, when the ship girl is slightly or medium damaged, the ship girl can still return to the shore. Carry out repairs at a specialized repair place of the Maritime Safety Administration. But if the war is more urgent and there is no way to return to shore for repairs, you can use this emergency repair toolbox to repair the damage to the ship girl so that it can regain its combat effectiveness. Ah! Isn't this damage control? Qin Ji asked doubtfully. Yes, it is a type of damage control. Compared with damage control, its cost is relatively low, and it is suitable for comprehensive popularization, Ning Hai explained with a smile. Qin Ji nodded. He knew the price of damage control. One damage control could cost more than 10,000 supplies, so many commanders were disappointed with damage control. But even at this price, every commander will prepare 1 to 2 damage control units. Because the function of damage control is to restore a damaged ship to normal in an instant, this is definitely a life-saving thing in battle. However, such things are not usually used much. Most commanders still go to the Maritime Safety Bureau to repair the ship after the battle, or use emergency repair tools when encountering an emergency. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 356. After completing the handover with Ning Hai, Qin Ji handed the large fleet supplies card to Li Chenming beside him, and the meaning was self-evident. Deputy Commander, please distribute these emergency maintenance tools to other members of the fleet. According to the formation order of our command ships, there are 3 people per one. In case of sudden situations, Qin Ji pointed to the emergency maintenance tools and said to Li Chenming. Li Chenming nodded after taking the large fleet supply card. Without saying anything else, he started distributing emergency maintenance kits at the same time. Qin Ji made it very clear last night that this is his job, so there is no need to say more words of thanks. Doing his job well is the best way to express his gratitude to Qin Ji for trusting him. As Li Chenming began to distribute emergency maintenance toolkits, Qin Ji once again took over today's fleet task list from Ning Hai and read it carefully. Because there was an encounter with the Siren fleet yesterday, Qin Ji directly eliminated simple tasks such as recycling materials today. He chose a merchant ship escort mission. This mission was relatively dangerous, but there were several aircraft carrier girls with very high levels of training in his fleet, so this danger was also an opportunity. Merchant ship guard? Are you sure you want to do this mission? Ning Hai looked at Qin Ji and said. I think according to the configuration of our current fleet, the merchant ship escort mission in this erosion level second level sea area can still be completed. Although there are some challenges, wouldn't it be better for us to have some challenges? Qin Song smiled. Yes, Ning Hai nodded. Indeed, although your team is a first-level fleet, the strength of some of the main fleets is no weaker than that of ordinary 4th and 5th level fleets. Then I will apply for this task for you. This mall guarding will take a day. You should also make some preparations. Just arrive at the designated sea area before 12 noon and hand over the task. Understood, Qin Ji nodded. Then, when Ning Hai applied for a task for him, he turned around and said to everyone, everyone has heard that the small guard will take a day, so everyone goes now. Replenish supplies and we will meet at the port later. Yes, everyone nodded, and without any further delay, they immediately turned around and walked out of the warehouse, heading to restaurants or stores to replenish supplies. After Ning Hai completed the task list and handed it to Qin Ji left the warehouse with the ship girls. Belfast, do we need to replenish our supplies? After leaving the warehouse, Qin Ji walked on the road and said to Belfast. Because Qin Ji had been following the royal ship girl some time ago, the task of preparing supplies fell on Belfast. Master, don't worry, our command ship has supplies that can be used for at least 3 days, so there is no need to worry, Belfast said. Yes, Qin Ji nodded, then let's go directly to the port and wait for them. By the way, which camp's turn it is to follow us today? It should be Akagi and Kaga. Magi smiled behind Qin Ji. Chongying, Qin Ji nodded. Magi, have Akagi and Kaga come to your place recently? Well, my 2 younger sisters still come here often and seem to have regarded my house as their home, Magi said with a smile. Haha, I think if Commander works hard, it is possible to add 2 awakened ship girls to our fleet, Prince Yujin smiled. Qin Ji shook his head helplessly. Do you think it's possible? With our current strength, there is no chance that we can invite a ship girl of that strength to join us. Who are Akagi and Kaga? They are the leaders of Chong Sakura. And they would rather give up Chongying's leadership position and come to Donghuang, which is already the biggest bet. If we expect them to join our fleet, then the strength of our fleet must be recognized by them. Haha, Lord, actually, I have some news about this issue, Magi said with a smile. Oh? What's the news? Not only Qin Ji, but everyone else looked at Tian Cheng. If the conditions for Akagi and Kaga to join can be met, it will be a qualitative improvement for the fleet. The leaders of each camp are particularly outstanding ship girls. According to Mikasa's previous predictions, these camp leaders have at least experienced the first complete awakening, and have even embarked on the opportunity for the second awakening. Compared with ordinary ship girls or initially awakened ship girls, their strength can be considered overwhelming. Magi suddenly whetted everyone's appetite. He smiled and said, Akaga said before that if there are more than 10 ship girls in the Lord's fleet who have fully awakened independently, then she will join Kajia. Let's join the Lord's fleet together. 10 self-awakened ship girls. Prince Yujin narrowed his eyes slightly. Haha, you are indeed worthy of being the leader of Chongying. This condition is not difficult. What do you mean, Miss Prince Yujin? Javelin asked Prince Yujin with a curious look on her face. If there are really 10 independently awakened ship girls in our fleet, it means that our fleet is enough to become the 10th force, Prince Eugen said. On the surface, the ones with the lowest number of awakened ship girls now belong to Donghuang and Vichy Holy See. If the number of awakened ship girls in these two camps does not include those from outside camps, it does not exceed 10, and it is still required autonomous awakening. What do you think will happen to the strength of our camp after 10 independently awakened ship girls appear in our fleet? That must be very powerful. After all, it can be equal to the number of awakened ship girls in one camp, U-96 nodded. So, they want to see the potential of our fleet. If the potential is really strong, then Akagakaga doesn't mind adding icing on the cake. After all, with such a powerful awakened ship girl, even if our fleet has 10 awakened ship girls, it's impossible to say no, Prince Eugen said. But the icing on the cake is better, but why don't they join now and provide help in times of need, Helena asked. It was Magi who answered this question. She smiled and said, because if there are 2 powerful awakened ship girls joining our fleet, you may lose your determination to fight hard and forge ahead. A group of confused ship girls suddenly woke up, and Qin-Ji nodded involuntarily. Indeed, after a person has a shield that he can rely on, he will become involuntarily want to rely on it, so he will lose some momentum and become lazy, which will indeed greatly reduce the strength of his fleet. You don't have to worry about this issue now. Let's deal with the siren tide in front of us first. We can talk about the rest later, Qin-Ji said with a smile. Yes. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 357. When everyone arrived at the pier, it turned out that Akagakaga was standing next to the pier just like the royal family's Heihe counterattack yesterday, waiting for the arrival of Qin-Ji and others. 2 people, one red and one blue, stood between the early morning water and sky. The sun shone on their shoulders, and together with the slowly wagging tails behind them, there was a mysterious feeling. Good morning, Akagi and Kaga, please forgive me for waiting. Qin-Ji stepped forward and said to the 2 of them. Actually, we just arrived not long ago, so it's not a long wait, Akagi said with a smile, and Kaga next to him also nodded to Qin-Ji. But it seems that not all of your people are here. Where are the other members of your fleet? Could it be that they are scared? Listening to Shishin's teasing words, Qin-Ji was not angry, but smiled and said, of course it can't be because of fear, it's just because today's mission needs to last a long time, so we arranged for them to stock up on supplies first. I see. Shikong nodded, so it seems Commander Qin-Ji should be preparing to face the enemy head-on. Akagi is really amazing. Just based on the fact that I asked them to prepare supplies, we can figure out our mission goal today, Qin-Ji said in surprise. Haha, don't forget, I was in charge of a camp before, so all the trivial matters of the camp passed through my hands. Being able to survive in the siren tide requires a relatively long task. In addition to port defense, only merchant ships are left to guard it. According to Commander Qin-Ji's character, he will definitely not assist others in port defense, because this may limit the performance of your fleet, so there is a very high chance that today it will be a merchant ship escort. Akagi smiled. Ah, so awesome, Rodney beside Qin-Ji couldn't help but said in surprise. Akagi smiled humbly and looked at Tiancheng among Qin-Ji's shipmates. I'm just a little skilled. Compared to my sister, I'm still far behind. Magi smiled, shook his head and said, Akagi is no longer the kid who only relied on me. After such a long period of experience, you are now the outstanding leader. Sister Magi. Akagi said softly. Qin-Ji smiled and said, okay, let's get on the boat and chat together. Prepare some things by the way. I'll wait for the others here. The ship girls nodded and boarded Qin-Ji's exclusive command ship one after another. However, Helena did not get on, but stayed beside Qin-Ji. Helena, why didn't you go up? Is there something wrong if you stay? Qin Ji asked doubtfully. No, it's just that everyone else has gone up, and only the commander is left below. This is not good, Helena said. Haha, it's nothing. We are within the school's port now, and no enemies will come. What will happen to me alone? Qin Ji said with a smile. But at this time, Helena's face had a hint of blush, as if Qin Ji had spoken out her mind. But obviously with Qin Ji's level of emotional intelligence, he wouldn't pay attention to these small details, so naturally he didn't notice the change on Helena's face. I'm not worried that the commander is in danger, but I want to stand by the commander's side like this, Helena said. Well, it turns out that if you want to do this or that, I can't possibly refuse you. Then please wait with me for Li Chenming and the others to arrive. I believe they will arrive soon, Qin Ji said with a smile. Yes, Helena nodded, looking at Qin Ji who was looking into the distance, and suddenly asked Qin Ji, Commander, what do you want to do after the war is over? Huh, Qin Ji looked back with some doubts and looked at Helena in front of him. I haven't thought about this question, but if you want me to answer, then I will definitely become a fisherman. Fisherman? Helena looked at Qin Ji in surprise. Qin Ji smiled and said, yes, a fisherman. Going out to sea in my own boat every day, then casting a net to catch fish, and returning home with a full load when night falls. This feeling is something I have been looking forward to since I was a child. Helena immediately remembered the story Qin Ji told her before, and asked Qin Ji, is it because of my parents that the commander has such thoughts? Qin Ji took a deep breath and nodded, yes, my parents are fishermen and left me when I was very young. If I become a fisherman after the war, I can be considered a son inherited my father's legacy. Haha, if the commander really becomes a fisherman, then remember to take me with you, because I have radar and can easily find huge schools of fish. So then we can return home with a full load every day, which can be regarded as the best partner. Helena said with a smile. Haha, it's true, Qin Ji laughed and said, the trace of sadness just now disappeared in an instant. If I really become a fisherman in the future, then I will definitely take Helena with you. As long as I arrive, you are still willing to be by my side. I do, Helena said with a smile, and there was a hint of firm will in her words. Qin Ji didn't pay attention to this detail. Instead, he asked Helena with a smile on his face, I feel like, Helena, you have changed a lot recently, and you are now asking questions like this. I feel a lot more relaxed recently, although I am still facing the siren tide, which may be more difficult than what I faced before. But now I have the commander by my side, giving me courage all the time, so I don't have the nerve-wracking feeling I had before. Every time I attack, I feel like victory is right in front of me. Every time I hear the commander's order, I feel extra at ease. Maybe this is the reason why I changed. Helena smiled. That's good, Qin Ji nodded and said, if we want to win the war, we first need to learn to face the war and face the war. Then you can treat the war with a normal mind, and finally you can win the war and achieve the goals you want. Well, I believe it. I believe that the commander will definitely bring us hope. And this time I will work hard to the end. Saying goodbye to the life I love makes my heart burst just thinking about it. It's open. Helena said to Qin Ji. Qin Ji smiled and put his hand on Helena's head, gently stroking her blue hair. In an instant, a blush appeared on Helena's face, and when she was a little deep, she heard Qin Ji's voice. Don't worry, our efforts at this time are to prevent this from happening again. Moreover, I will be with you in the future and will never let you experience that kind of pain again. Helena raised her slightly flushed cheeks and looked at Qin Ji's determined face, and she couldn't help but be fascinated. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu Ji. Chapter 358. Li Chenming, Zhang Xiaotian, Wu Hao, Zhang Xiaocheng, Chen Beijun, the five of you are divided into 3 groups, and then start patrolling in the sea area. If a mass-produced siren is discovered, report it to the command ship through the communication device in a timely manner. After my judgment, I will decide whether to fight the siren. If you find a siren fleet larger than a small fleet, retreat immediately and report it on the way. I will arrange for an aircraft carrier to assist you in patrolling. Yes. A neat response appeared in the cabin of the command ship. Qin Ji couldn't help but nodded, and then disconnected the communicator. Qin Ji and the others are already in the sea area protected by the caravan at this time. What they want to keep is that there will be no siren mass-produced warships or siren mass-produced fleets in the sea area. Only in this way can the safety of the waterway within the sea area be maintained and the mission completed. Commander, how should we arrange it? Veneto asked Qin Ji. Qin Ji said, we went to the center of the sea area, and then sent the aircraft carrier to release carrier-based aircraft around the command ship to patrol the entire sea area. And I found that in the chart, this sea area is a long and narrow sea area, and it is closely adjacent to the sea area with an erosion level of level 3, so if the siren fleet is discovered, be ready to provide support to the target location at any time. Yes, Veneto nodded and gave up the idea of going to the sea now. As the command ship continued to sail towards the center of the sea, Qin Ji stood in the command cabin of the command ship, looking at the endless sea, thinking about the situation of encountering the enemy in his mind. The other ship girls are also ready to go, ready to obey Qin Ji's order and enter the sea. After Qin Ji brought the ship girls to the center of the sea area, he divided all the ship girls into 3 teams according to the number of aircraft carriers, and went into the water to prepare for patrols and combat operations as they were on duty. Perhaps it was the sea area that was taken over from another third-level fleet, so Qin Ji and the people in the fleet did not see any trace of the sirens for the whole afternoon. However, several merchant ships passed by during this period, and Qin Ji always arranged a group of 5 people to escort the merchant ships through. But even in this situation, Qin Ji did not relax his vigilance. Because his previous war experience told him that the most dangerous time is always the next second. But everything seems calm now, but it is just the calm before the storm. Sure enough, in the afternoon, when the afterglow of the setting sun gradually enveloped the sea, Wu Hao's voice came from the communicator on the command ship where Qin Ji was located. Report to the commander, a large siren fleet is located in the northeast of the sea area at position 153. Immediately afterwards, Bumblebee's voice came from Qin Ji's communicator. Report to commander, I have detected a large siren fleet in the northeast of the sea area at position 153, and siren humanoid units and fallen ship girls have appeared. Please send a fleet to support immediately. When these 2 voices appeared on the command ship, Qin Ji's eyes became sharp as he was chatting and laughing with the ship's wife. He quickly stood up from the sofa, walked quickly to the command ship's console, picked up the communication device and said, Wu Hao, you guys retreat quickly, ensure your own safety first, don't do anything meaningless. Move. I will immediately arrange for the aircraft carrier to conduct airspace detection. In addition, you will notify others to come to the center to assemble the fleet and prepare for the encounter. Wu Hao's voice appeared in the communicator, yes, Commander, we are not going up now, we are just observing from a distance, but the other party should also have an aircraft carrier, so now we are covering the retreat. Copy that, Qin Ji said immediately, and then he picked up the communicator on his body. Hornet, you and Lexington's carrier-based aircraft conduct long-distance reconnaissance, and at the same time retreat to the center to assemble with the fleet, prepare for an encounter. Yes, Commander, Bumblebee said. After hanging up the communicators on both sides, Qin Ji turned and looked at the ship girls approaching him, as well as Akagi and Kaga who were still sitting leisurely on the sofa. Everyone immediately enters a state of combat readiness. The aircraft carrier, destroyer, and cruiser are launched immediately. The escort aircraft carrier releases carrier-based aircraft and quickly joins Hornet and the others to seize air superiority. The others will join me in heading northeast to meet up with Li Chenming and others to assemble the fleet and prepare for battle. Qin Ji's orders were very concise, and the ship girl's responses were also very fast. Without saying too many words, he immediately started executing the orders. Watching the ship girls launching into the water one after another and wrapping up the command ship and aircraft carrier girls in a wheel formation, I walked to the console, activated the command ship, and then sailed towards the 153 position together. As the carrier-based aircraft roared, several aircraft carrier ladies also launched the carrier-based aircraft into the air. After gathering into a carrier-based aircraft group, they quickly rushed towards the 153 direction. After traveling for less than 20 minutes, Qin Ji's fleet met the fleet of Li Chenming and others. After honking horns to signal each other, Li Chenming's fleet quickly merged into Qin Ji's fleet group. Not long after Li Chenming and others joined the fleet group, Qin Ji and others also encountered the patrol fleet of Bumblebee and others, as well as the fleet group that Wu Hao had withdrawn from. After all returned to the team, the aircraft carrier girls also began to compete with the opponent's aircraft carrier for air supremacy. The roars of carrier-based aircraft gathered in the sky, and barrages of fire continued to appear in the sky. From time to time, a carrier-based aircraft flashed with flames and fell into the sea below. However, the Qin Ji ship girls' training still has the upper hand over the Siren fleet, so even though the number of carrier-based aircraft is smaller than the opponents, it still has an advantage in the fight for air supremacy. Just when the battle for air supremacy was coming to an end, Qin Ji's command ship was less than 40 nautical miles away from the opponent's fleet. All the ship girls gathered into a fleet group under the orders of Qin Ji and other commanders, and rushed towards the Siren fleet with great momentum. As the distance between the two fleets got closer and closer, accompanied by the bloody setting sun, the sound of wind on the sea disappeared without a trace. On the deck of Qin Ji's command ship, two figures stood on the bow, watching the scene of the upcoming firefight. "Kaga, what do you think?" Akaga said calmly. "The fight of the week." Kagami looked forward, without any emotion in his tone. "Haha, maybe we are standing too high, so battles like this no longer interest us." Akaga smiled, not caring at all. "Jia, please remember that we came here like this before, but do you feel that Qin Ji's ship girl has grown up a little too fast?" Kagami's eyes narrowed, and then he nodded, "Especially Guanghui." "Haha, it seems you have discovered it too." Akaga looked into the distance and couldn't help but smile. "My ship girl, my world." Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 359. Boom boom boom. The sound of huge shelling resounded throughout the entire sea area, and thick smoke rose from the sea. Under the smoke was the Siren mass-produced warship that was slowly pouring over with flames all over its body. "Prince Eugen, control has been taken, and we can charge to divide the battlefield." Glory, as the commander-in-chief of the aircraft carrier fleet, spoke to Prince Eugen, who was doing defensive counter-attack in front through the communication system between the ship girls. "I thought it would take you a while, but I didn't expect that you were not at a disadvantage when facing the opponent's 6 aircraft carriers," Prince Eugen said while looking at the Siren fleet in front of him. Although she was talking to Guanghui, the movements of her hands did not stop. After deftly dodging the opponent's cannonballs, he fired a few more cannonballs from the ship's muzzle at the target in front of him. "We will definitely complete the mission assigned by the commander with all our strength. And now is not the time to talk about this. Now that air superiority has been ensured, it is your vanguard fleet's turn to start exerting its strength," Guanghui said. "Don't worry, this kind of charge has been carried out many times. Even if there are Siren humanoid units this time, the result is still the same," Prince Eugen said. "Well, it's so glorious. You will lead the aircraft carrier girls to provide air cover. Bismarck and I will lead the battleship girls to provide you with fire support from the rear. We must divide the enemy fleet and encircle and destroy it. Veneto looked into the fleet. The voice said. Understood, Huang Hui said directly. The current general structure of the fleet is that Qin Ji issues overall instructions and is responsible for the overall strategy. Subsequent combat orders were issued in the form of squads, and comprehensive battlefield execution orders were issued by Veneto, Bismarck, and Magi. For example, right now, to implement the split tactic, Veneto begins to issue orders. The aircraft carrier fleet in charge of Glorious provides cover, the battle fleet in charge of her own provides fire support, and then the vanguard fleet led by Prince Eugen breaks through. Cutting. Of course, the cutting tactic does not mean that all the vanguard fleets are pressed in. The general principle of the execution of the tactics is that Prince Eugen leads several vanguards to break through the ships and cut them, so that the overall firepower of the Siren fleet is dispersed, and the follow-up fleets are pressed in large numbers. To provide superior firepower coverage. This time naturally also includes the choice of location and changes in orientation. This tactic has been implemented countless times, so all the ship girls have a very clear reaction to this tactic. When Prince Eugen began to order an assault in the vanguard's breakthrough fleet, all the ship girl teams began to move to one side. Prepare to concentrate your firepower and destroy the cut-out Siren fleet. The actions of other commanders' ship girls were also consistent, which was why Qin Ji conducted joint training before. At some point, Akagakaga had returned to the command ship. They looked towards the sea from the window and couldn't help but smile when they saw Prince Eugen and others leaving the formation and charging forward. Commander Qin Ji, is this your next plan? Qin Ji shook his head. No, this should be the result of a joint discussion between the several of them. I will only give them general strategic guidance and tactical arrangements before the war begins. As for when the battle begins, it is up to them to determine which tactic is most appropriate to execute first. So, now that they have gained control of the air, are they preparing to cut in directly? Akaga said. I don't think so. Qin Ji shook his head, looked at the sea in the distance and said, I think Prince Eugen's attack this time is not to cut in, but to divide. Cut off the Siren fleet into one piece. And then the entire fleet will carry out targeted strikes on that area. Divide. Akaga narrowed his eyes, then nodded, I have learned a lesson. Shishin's words aroused Qin Ji's surprise. Have you not implemented the strategy of division before? Akaga shook his head. I don't know the tactics implemented by those below, but we have never implemented segmentation tactics, because for us, it is usually enough to directly release carrier-based aircraft and destroy the entire enemy fleet. In the face of absolute strength, any tactics are useless. Qin Ji nodded. Indeed, as long as the strength reaches a certain level, any strategy is useless. The competition in war is about who is stronger. Tactics are just an auxiliary to war. In the end, swords and guns still have to meet. I didn't expect Commander Qin Ji to have such an awareness. I thought that since you teach strategy and tactics, you would think that tactics come first. After all, it has always been your tactics shown to the 9 major camps. Akaga said with a smile, and Jia on the side also glanced at Qin Ji. Qin Ji smiled but said nothing. Is it because of my tactics that I am highly valued in front of the 9 major camps? Maybe he just discovered his specialty in tactics when he discovered the merits of this miracle man? Qin Ji's look made Akaga couldn't help but smile. She did not blame Qin Ji for not answering her question, but continued, I am no longer the leader of Chongying, and I don't care too much about these things. I care more. It's what miracles you will trigger. Miracles. Qin Ji smiled. The so-called miracles refer to extraordinary things, but as a simple human being, how can I repeat those extraordinary things? Regarding the Shinano incident, even though you were not present, you must have learned about what happened at that time from Shokakuzi Wikaku, right? Maybe I didn't have that kind of luck at all at that time, but it was just because of the 2 Rubik's Cubes that Prince Eugen handed me that there was such a cause and effect. If it were that simple, do you think I would leave everything behind and come to Donghuang? Akage said with a smile. Things like this before may have happened once as an accident, twice as a coincidence, and 3 times as a miracle. But Commander Qin-ji, your ship girl is brilliant as a ship girl who has maintained her full training for a long time. As long as no accidents happen, if so, it is possible that he will remain at full level of training throughout his life. But now, do you know what I saw in her? Akage asked. What? Qin-ji said in surprise. Trace of awakening, Akage said with a smile. What did you say? Awakening? How is it possible? If Qin-ji could remain calm before, he was extremely surprised now. Because based on his understanding for such a long time, he still knows the difference between fully trained ship girls and awakened ship girls. These 2 levels of ship girls are basically existences in 2 dimensions. Although fully trained ship girls are rare, it does not mean that they are not available. There are many of them on the front line or among commanders who have been for a long time. But the awakening ship girl is the mainstay of a camp. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 360. The battlefield ahead is still noisy with artillery fire, but now among the command ships, Qin-ji is already in a state of confusion. Do you think our eyesight might be wrong? Akage said with a smile. But why didn't anyone else tell me? Qin-ji asked doubtfully. Because they are all weak, Kagami said disdainfully. Qin-ji couldn't help but draw a black line on his brow, but he couldn't find any reason to refute. Because standing in front of him now were 2 former camp leaders, and Qin-ji's strength was obvious to all. In the battle against the Purifiers, Akage and Kaga's strength was definitely the main force of the Juazakura aircraft carrier fleet. Even the rising stars of the 5 air wars have not reached their level. And among the special envoys sent now, although they are awakened ship girls from each camp, they are not necessarily the main ship girls of each camp. Moreover, in terms of strength, it is not up to the level of Akage and Kaga. But since Guanghui has shown signs of awakening, why has she never said anything? Qin-ji asked doubtfully. Actually speaking, it's possible that she doesn't know that she is about to awaken now, Akage said with a smile. Why? Qin-ji asked doubtfully. Awakening is a mysterious state. Some people may not be able to meet the requirements of awakening in their lifetime, while some people naturally awaken. Before awakening, ship girls will not feel any special state, but after a deep awakening, they will notice changes in themselves. Akage said. When Qin-ji heard Akage say this, he suddenly remembered what Mikasa said to him when he asked Mikasa about it. Awakening is a very mysterious state. There is no way to explain it. The situation of reaching level 100 and reaching a breakthrough is just a condition first, and then there will be various opportunities before you can awaken the memory of your previous time as a battleship. This kind of memory is completely different from the memory given by the previous mind cube. It is the most real and direct memory, as if we do not belong to this world, as if our mission in this world is controlled by others. Now I have only touched the edge of awakening. Relying on the memories that flashed through my mind, I carved out a battleship model like that. I think that look is the most original look of our ship girls. This sentence was what Mikasa said to herself not long after she came to this world. At that time, she discovered the same battleship model as in her previous world. Will you recall your experience as a battleship? Qin-ji asked. Oh. Senior Mikasa told you, right? Akage smiled. Yes, Qin-ji nodded. After all, there were not many awakened ship girls with good connections around him, so Akage could guess it easily. Yes, when the memory of oneself as a battleship appears in the memory, it already means that the awakening is in progress. However, the current situation of Guanghui is that it has traces of awakening, but it has not yet awakened. So it still takes time and opportunity. When he said this, Akagi paused, but I think she just needs time, because opportunity is by your side. So what kind of opportunities did you experience when you awakened? Shinji asked. This is a secret. If one day you will become our commander, then I may tell you. Akagi smiled mysteriously and said to Shinji teasingly. Well, Tiancheng said before that you will not join my fleet until there are 10 awakened ship girls in my fleet. Is this true? Shinji said helplessly. Haha, of course it is true, Dachin and Commander. When 10 awakened ship girls appear in your fleet, then you will have the ability to be on par with the 9 major camps. So at this time, with such a commander here, how could we not join? Akagi said. Then don't you think that since I can summon Magi, what if during the period when I have 10 awakened ship girls, I summon another Akagi and Kaga? Shinji said with a smile. Akagi and Kaga were stunned for a moment. They had only calculated the conditions for joining Shinji's camp, but they had never thought about what would happen if Shinji really summoned other ships like themselves. Because with Shinji's luck, it is definitely possible to do such a thing. What if I told Commander Shinji not to summon the aircraft carrier girls for a period of time? Shi Kung said to Shinji. Shinji glanced at the red dots on the radar and found that most of the red dots were now gone. So he turned to Akagi and said, for such a long time, Akagi, you must have known that I am very accustomed to using it. Is it a tactic? Aircraft carrier girls have always been the core of our fleet, not to mention that we now have 6 aircraft carrier girls. If we expand this number to 10 or 20, do you think we will still be able to fight the siren? Is it as difficult as it is now? Shi Kung couldn't help but feel helpless, because Shinji was indeed telling the truth. Among his fleet, the most powerful one right now is the aircraft carrier girl, although the battleship girl is not bad either. Then how about we discuss it? Why not reduce the number of these 10 to 5, what do you think? Akagi said. Shinji smiled and said, how about just reducing the number 10 to 1? Shi Kung frowned and was about to say something when he saw Shinji wave his hand. Actually, this condition is not too harsh, because you should also know that among the commander's ship girls, there should be no awakened ship girls, right? And now there are signs of awakening in Guanghui. As you said, she just lacks time now. And precisely, what I have most now is time. I think we don't need to wait many years. It is possible that by the end of my school year, I will become an awakening ship girl. It won't be beyond the birth of the planned ship at the latest, right? Therefore, I can promise you that within this period of time, I will not summon any aircraft carrier girls. However, if you are still undecided beyond this period, then I will consider the future development of my fleet. Shinji said to Shi Kung. Akagi raised his hand to rub his forehead and said with a smile, if it weren't for you having Sister Magi in your fleet, how could I be so passive? Tell the truth, did you win, Commander Shinji? I agree to your request. After your brilliance is awakened and the planned ship is summoned, I will join your fleet. But when the time comes, are you confident that you can control me? Ahem. Shinji was helpless. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 361. To be honest, Shinji was not sure that he could control the two great gods Akagi and Kaga. After all, these two were Kongyakura's talkers in the past. It would be difficult to control them. But fortunately, he has Tiancheng. But this is just Shinji's inner thought. It is still unknown how much influence Tiancheng can have on these two people. but it is definitely impossible to tell Akagi this now. Let's wait until they enter their fleet and then tell Magi. These are just things for later, the most important thing now is to guide the glory. Let her awaken as soon as possible so that Shinji can have the strength to gain a firm foothold in this world. But how to guide it is a question. Shinji felt that his head was very big for a moment, because no one had ever said how to guide the ship girl to awaken. Maybe, stay together more often? Tell Glory something about the Glory armored aircraft carrier in your own world? Thinking of this, Shinji made up his mind to use Guanghui as the experimental target this time. If he could summarize the guiding rules for awakening ship girls from Guanghui, then, if your ship girls are fully trained in the future, you can guide them in this way and try to awaken. And just when Shinji had this plan, the battlefield outside had already heated up. Under the cutting of Prince Eugen, the entire Siren fleet was cut into pieces like a cake. Then, they were eliminated individually by the fleet led by Veneto. However, the large Siren fleet is not a fuel-efficient lamp. Under such a saturated and fierce artillery attack, the vanguard fleet led by Prince Eugen also suffered varying degrees of damage. When only a quarter of the large fleet was left, Prince Eugen reported the situation to Veneto. Our vanguard fleet is no longer able to carry out cutting tactics again. In the team, apart from me, Note and now Xiaopo, Aurora and several others are already in the state of mid-break. If we attack again, there is a high possibility of an accident. Veneto nodded and said in the communicator, "Thank you very much for your contribution to the fleet. Now the Siren fleet opposite is no longer large, so it is time for our large force to attack together." "Well, then we will return to the flank," Prince Eugen said. "Understood," Veneto said. After hearing this, Prince Eugen said to the rest of the vanguard fleet, "Now the fleet on the opposite side has suffered heavy losses, so we no longer need to use cutting tactics. Next, we will return to the flanks of the large fleet and assist them in the attack." Several people in the vanguard fleet couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Although the ship girl can resist the damage of cannonballs, sometimes the body will not feel pain even if the cannonballs explode around them. But once the state reaches the mid-level, everyone can't help but feel worried. Now that they heard Prince Eugen's instructions, everyone could not help but let out a long sigh of relief and could finally return to safety. Therefore, Prince Eugen and others took advantage of the cover of the aircraft carrier's aircraft and slowly retreated to the flank. Veneto, on the other hand, commanded all the ship girls to press forward. At this time, due to several cutting tactics, the central position of the large Siren fleet was finally exposed, and the previously detected Siren humanoid units had also appeared. She was wearing a Sci-Fi black and yellow armor, with a machine gun-like ship suit in her hands. She was floating on the sea, like a robot, staring at Veneto, who was overwhelming the army, with orange eyes. Et al. Tracker Bismarck looked at the Siren humanoid unit appearing in the distance and accurately called her code name. "It's not easy to handle," Veneto also frowned. Magi behind the two of them smiled and said, "Although the tracker's barrage attack is very powerful, her air defense is very weak, and she is a specialized anti-sea Siren humanoid unit. We can use artillery fire to contain her, and then let all the aircraft carriers attack the tracker's position, so that we can use carrier-based aircraft to grind her to death." "Well, that's all we can do now." Veneto and Bismarck both nodded. The battle has continued up to this point. Although they have gained a certain advantage, it is not the time to be careless. Especially if the opponent is a Siren humanoid unit, you need to be more vigilant in this case. Because all Siren humanoid units are not easy to deal with, their number is very small, but in order to prevent unnecessary casualties, carrying out air raids through carrier-based aircraft is the most effective method. Therefore, Veneto called to Guanghui and others behind him, "Guanghui, please lead the aircraft carrier girls to form a carrier-based aircraft group formation to attack the pursuers." "Understood." Guanghui's voice sounded softly. After Veneto informed her that he was a tracker, Guanghui knew what was going on. After all, she used to be a free ship girl, and this was not the first time she faced a siren humanoid unit like the tracker. After hanging up Veneto's call, Guanghui said to the aircraft carrier fleet, "All carrier-based aircraft take off to form an echelon of carrier-based aircraft. Fighters are in front, bombers are in the middle, and torpedo planes are at the end. Attack the front by force." The tracker. "Yes, Sister Guanghui." "Yes, Senior." A firm voice sounded, and in an instant, all aircraft carriers took off their carrier-based aircraft. The 6 fighter jets taken off by Guanghui took the lead, and the rest all followed Guanghui's carrier-based aircraft. The sound of roaring engines resounded in the sea and air, and the entire swarm was now like a flock of flying geese, with strict discipline and fast movements, attacking the opponent's conspicuous pursuer. At this time, Veneto and Bismarck also commanded the battleship girls to begin shelling the sea area next to and including the pursuer. Under the cover of artillery fire, the pursuers wanted to rush forward and eliminate the ship girls who were already in front of them. But the fierce gunfire made it difficult for her to move forward. He could only open the shield surrounding himself, and use the machine gun-like ship suit in his hand to continuously fire blue shells to threaten the approaching ship girls. But at this moment, the carrier-based aircraft group led by Guanghui had arrived above the pursuer. Countless machine guns, aerial bombs, and torpedoes were instantly projected towards the area where the pursuer was. Water columns soaring into the sky began to splash around the pursuer. Although the pursuer's shield could withstand cannonball attacks, it was still somewhat helpless in the face of the aerial bombs falling from the sky. After a round of bombing, the carrier-based aircraft group led by Guanghui instantly straightened up, turned its nose, and flew smoothly in the direction of the ship girl. However, the pursuer looked a little miserable at this time. The shield on her body had disappeared, and the black and yellow armor she was wearing also looked tattered. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 362. But it's clear that the battle against the tracker won't stop just because she looks miserable now. When the carrier-based aircraft returned to the hands of the aircraft carrier mother, the second wave of carrier-based aircraft flew again under the leadership of Guanghui. The roaring engine was like the god of death, rushing toward the pursuer again with lightning speed. Although the air defense firepower of the Siren fleet was aimed at these carrier-based aircraft at this time, now that the air superiority advantage was ensured, the carrier-based aircraft group led by Guanghui flexibly avoided the attacks of these anti-aircraft guns. It continued like last time, swooping towards the pursuer. With another round of attacks from machine guns, aerial bombs, and torpedoes, the tracker's location was completely obscured by the towering water column. When the water column fell, the pursuer had disappeared on the sea. Apparently after this round of strong attacks, the tracker had been buried in the sea. The Siren fleet, which had lost its tracker, had completely lost its support. At this moment, Veneto issued an order for a general attack to all the ship girls. Under the sound of gunfire that resounded in the sky, the fleet girls rushed towards the remaining Siren fleet. Like a tiger emerging from its cage, it swept across the remaining Siren fleet. As night gradually fell, the sound of cannons on the sea gradually stopped. This large Siren fleet led by Tracker was successfully wiped out in the sea with the efforts of all the ship girls of the Star Sea Fleet. Qin Ji also gradually relaxed his mood amidst the reports for Niatug. Looking at the wreckage of the Siren fleet still floating on the sea in the distance, he gave the order to recover supplies, then took out the purple-red Rubik's Cube and stood on the bow of the command ship. The purple-red Rubik's Cube suddenly shone, and Qin Ji could feel that the purple-red Rubik's Cube was absorbing the combat data generated from the battle just now. However, these battle data all come from the Royal Main Ship, including Glorious Battle data, Centaur data, Unicorn data, and Rodney data. Akage Kagami also stood behind Qin Ji, watching this strange scene, but they did not say anything because they had seen such a strange scene several times before. They also borrowed the mind cube from Qin Ji for observation, but they found nothing. It seems that the reaction of this mental Rubik's cube occurs when Qin Ji holds it in his hand. Gradually, they lost interest in studying this mental Rubik's cube. Since he is already with Qin Ji, it is better to wait until he summons the mental cube of this planned ship and study it slowly again. By the time Qin Ji finished collecting the combat data, the glowing purple-red mind cube gradually dimmed. Qin Ji put away the mental magic cube. He did not leave the bow of the ship directly, but looked at the sea in the distance from the bow of the ship. There, Veneto, Bismarck and others were directing other ship girls to salvage supplies from the sea. Another victory in the battle, Shi Kong said behind Qin Ji with a smile. Although we won the victory, our ship girls also suffered varying degrees of trauma. I didn't expect that the emergency repair tools we just obtained before would be used here now, Qin Ji said looking into the distance. That's pretty good. A large fleet with uneven training levels can successfully destroy a large fleet with siren humanoid units. It's already amazing, Akaga said with a smile. This is their contribution. Qin Ji looked into the distance and smiled. At this time, the sky had completely darkened, and Qin Ji could only see the firelight shining on the sea in the distance and the lights on the ship's own ship. Let's go back now. It's getting dark and the battle is over. Qin Ji turned to the two of Shi Kong and said. After the ship girls packed up their supplies, there was another burst of joy when they returned to the ship. Qin Ji also hugged every ship girl as always. This was not only a reward for them, but also a comfort for them after the war. After nightfall, the entire sea fell silent, and there was no longer a shadow of the siren fleet. However, there were some scattered siren mass-produced warships. For these siren mass-produced warships that appeared, Li Chenming and others on patrol were able to deal with them easily, so the whole night was considered very peaceful. After 12 noon the next day, a new large fleet arrived in the sea area. After dispatching the ship girls to carry out the handover, Qin Ji notified all the members of the large fleet again, rearranged the command ships, and slowly pushed out of the sea area. When I returned to the academy, it was already 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Because the mission had been completed, Qin Ji's command ship maintained a constant speed and did not accelerate when it returned. After arriving at the port, Qin Ji asked everyone to rest and would not take on any more tasks today. And he took Kanji to Akashi grocery store for repairs, and then returned to the guest house. However, after returning to the guest house, Qin Ji did not go to bed early as Belfast said. Instead, he was completing the battle report that had not been completed when he returned home. He already had the experience of writing a battle report, so Qin Ji wrote faster this time. When I finished writing, it was not yet late at night. Looking at the battle report folded on the table, Qin Ji thought for a while, turned around and walked out of his room. After arriving in the corridor, he walked directly to the door opposite him, reached out and knocked on the door. "Who?" Soon, a gentle voice came from inside the door. Qin Ji cleared his throat and whispered beside the door, "It's me." The sound of fast footsteps immediately sounded in the room, and soon the door was opened, and Guanghui's smiling face appeared in front of Qin Ji. "It's Commander, it's so late, what's wrong?" Qin Ji looked at the aisle, and then said to Guanghui, "Can you go in and talk? It's a little unclear here." "Look at me," Guanghui said in annoyance, and immediately stepped aside. "Commander, come in, because I just wanted to take a rest, the room is a little messy, I hope you don't mind." "I should be sorry for disturbing your rest," Qin Ji said apologetically. "What's the point?" Guanghui smiled softly. Immediately, Qin Gang came to her room under the leadership of Guanghui. However, when Qin Ji saw it, he did not see that the room was messy as Guanghui said. Instead, it looked very neat and clean, except for a few wrinkles on the bed. "Commander, Please sit on the sofa first. I'll pour you a cup of tea. You must have just finished work, right? Guanghui smiled and walked to the teapot nearby, pouring tea as he said. Qin Ji sat on the sofa and nodded towards Guanghui. Yes, today's work is considered finished.